For the last couple of years, the mainstream media has been doing nothing but lying directly to our faces. Many people have turned them out completely. Of course, you just want the numbers. In the early 2000s, 60 million people relied on the mainstream. In 2010, only 40 million. In 2016, 35 million. In 2020, 30 million. 2022, 25 million. And in 2023, it is projected to be around 23 million. The mainstream media just does not get the same pull as it once did. That is no one's fault but the mainstream media's fault and the networks that think that they can continue to lie directly to our faces day in and day out. This is exactly why on March 2nd, the Trump administration took a bunch of press badges away from the mainstream news outlet and is now doing a revolving strategy. Since Trump is trying out this revolving system, these news outlets would have to switch after a few weeks, which I prefer because it's not one mainstream media network that would be the only place where you can even get any information. This erosion of trust in institutions sparked by the mainstream media's declining credibility has also fueled this broader claim of the mainstream media not having any more integrity about our systems like elections, prompting people to demand greater accountability and security in processes that shape our very democracy. Back in 2020, there were a couple of people asking questions about how safe our elections are in America and what caused the most amount of worry. It is in fact that anyone can go into a nearby polling place, and as long as they know your name and your address, they can vote using your name. This caused some people to wake up to the idea that this is a very, very huge security risk. Much like when you log into most websites that you use now, the website either uses an authorizer app or it sends you a one-time code directly to your phone through text message, and you just put in the code. While this isn't this end-all be-all safety tool, it's a lot better than just using a random old password without 2FA or two-factor authorization. This is the very point that people are trying to make about showing our voter IDs, also known as your driver's license or your passport. This is why on March 1st, Florida passed new laws enacting stricter voter ID systems to be able to vote. This is on top of their already good system that counts all the ballots the second that they get cast. So as soon as the polls close, you know the results. It's always the top view every single year on the race to finish the first. If not, then they are the top state for how fast results fly out. While states like Florida were taking proactive steps to secure their elections with stricter voter ID laws by March 2025, the federal government under a different administration has also shifted its focus, with the Justice Department under President Trump undergoing a dramatic overhaul to align with his vision, turning its attention to issues like sanctuary cities that defy federal immigration laws. The department under President Trump is not the same department under Biden. Instead, it was revamped from the inside out, making sure that people want to actually help Trump implement his plan to make America a better place to live in and want to actually work here. But the Justice Department is now targeting cities that allow illegal aliens to live there without complying with federal law, which is a complete disregard for federal immigration laws. This is also called sanctuary city. They've been using this and will continue to do so because they think that they have the upper hand. They couldn't be more wrong. Just coming into this country undocumented is number one, breaking the law. Never mind the people if they hit and run or if a person steals or anything in between. While revamped Justice Department under Trump intensifies its crackdown on sanctuary cities to enforce federal law and secure the nation, another critical frontier, artificial intelligence, has prompted Trump to engage with tech leaders on March 2nd, 2025, to ensure America remains competitive globally without sacrificing jobs or free speech to uncheck AI growth. As you may know, AI is getting smarter. Now you can ask it a whole entire paragraph of questions and it will research things one by one and put it all together in a compiled list or a paragraph, whatever you prefer. But just like any good thing, this can go way too far and start taking everybody else's job, leaving us with nothing to do to take care of the AIs. This is why on March 2nd, Trump met with tech CEOs to discuss AI policy. This was needed because of the fact that we want AI to help us do the things faster and cheaper, but we do not want it to take our jobs completely. This is exactly why AI should have guardrails, but it should also also have deregulation so AI can thrive enough for these companies not run to a country with little to no laws, which is what may happen with China or North Korea, where they control the spreading of information and the narrative. I and everybody else would rather have it be based in a country where there is free speech, like America. Back to the meeting on the 2nd. President Trump met with leaders in the tech space, like Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, and Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, to push for deregulation. But I think that he could have invited Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, which owns ChatGPT, the leading AI chatbot, but this meeting was aimed at boosting United States competitiveness with countries like China. But there is only one problem. Gronk and ChatGPT are doing much better than the people that initially thought. So I wonder if it even changed anything, because we know how Apple Intelligence is doing, and it's not good whatsoever. It can even make group and summarize notifications right. What makes you think that they can solve a whole entire dialogue? Doesn't make any sense. Well, Trump's meeting with tech CEOs on March 2nd, 2025 aims to balance all AI innovation with job security to keep America competitive. Another pressing domestic issue, skyrocketing crime in major cities, demands a different kind of toughness. As places like Pennsylvania experiment with bulletproof glass on the public transit instead of directly confronting the root causes. While tackling crime in major cities like Pennsylvania requires a tough, proactive stance to restore safety, Trump's latest economic push, implemented tariff on companies not producing in America, is already speaking a different kind of ripple effect. I'm driving job creation and investment in the United States factories that could help revolutionize these struggling urban areas. Much like all of the other things Trump promised, he is now following through on his latest plan to impose tariffs on companies not producing things here in the best country ever. Because of the fact that he's staying true to his promise, companies are starting to take notes and start investing a lot of money into factories so they can avoid these fees. The most notable example of this happening is Honda, which is now going to produce their version of the hybrid car inside of the United States because of the fact that they do not want to get hit with a tariff. This will not only put money into the economy because they will also need to buy the materials from an American-based company, but these factories will also provide jobs for us to work at. This is a good thing because there's a shortage of jobs for the number of people that want to actually work, and that they are putting their money where their mouth is because of the fact that they're going to build the factory, like I said. That's what I call a win-win. That is why when everybody says that there is no job opportunity, I would believe them, unless they didn't apply at all, in which case you are on your own. For as long as I can remember, the United States has always relied on Taiwan to produce semiconductors, chips, phones, cars, junk, fast fashion, everything. But slowly but surely, the United States is finally going to be the one with some of the producing power and will start producing more and more things in America. The first started with Honda saying that they will be building a plant that will employ around 20,000 people. Then comes TSMC, also known as Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the most generic name possible, but they are investing $100 billion to build their own factory as well. The factories will focus on producing advanced semiconductors, including chips for artificial intelligence, also known as AI, and other cutting-edge applications using processes like 4 nanometer and potentially 2 nanometer technology. Yes, very interesting stuff here. TSMC's customers such as Apple, Nvidia, AMD, Broadcom, and Qualcomm are expected to benefit from this increased United States-based production company. Although timelines for this specific factory are not revealed yet, it is very exciting to know that this is only the beginning. The Arizona location, specifically in Phoenix, is already home to TSMC's first United States factory, which began mass production of 4 nanometer chips in late 2024. The new investment will expand this footprint significantly, with additional plants aiming at reducing United States' reliance on Asian semiconductor supply chain, a move framed both as economic and national security priority. The project is expected to create substantial economic impact, including 40,000 construction jobs over the next 4 years and tens of thousands of high-paying, high-tech jobs in manufacturing, research, and development. The United States is making strides toward economic and technologically independent with new manufacturing companies. The nation has always focused on relentless series of national challenges, shifting our attention from industrial processes to the urgent crises unfolding across the country. Since this year first started, we have seen catastrophe after catastrophe. First, seeing the fires in California, we all know what happened there with the government government of California not even having enough water to put out the fires, never mind to contain them. That's a conversation for a whole nother time. Today we are going to be focusing on the newest fire, and that's in the Carolinas instead. The exact spot is Myrtle Beach, located south of Florida. It has now reached 1,600 acres and is only 30% contained as of yesterday when I was researching this, in the Carolina forest area just west of Myrtle Beach. Sadly, this isn't the only fire in South Carolina. We have also seen 175 different wildfires, all causing around 4,200 acres of damage. But the good news, the only good news, is that no homes have been burned down, which is crazy to think about. As the United States grapples with domestic crises like the unrelenting wildfires swooping through the Carolinas, attention has turned outward to a shift in foreign policy, with President Trump drawing a firm line in the sand over Ukraine. Trump is over Ukraine, okay? And it's for good this time. President Trump just announced that the United States is now pausing any and all aid to Ukraine, a move that got people talking on both sides. This decision did not come out of nowhere though. It's because Zelensky messed up so badly by telling President Trump what to do and how to get there, acting like he's the one calling the shots. He's not. That didn't sit well with Trump, of course, and now Zelensky is going to have to figure things out all on his own. Even though he's not exactly used to flying solo without the United States supporting and propping him up, Trump has made it clear that he's done playing along, and this will pause all federal aid that the United States sends out, and it's sending a loud message. The United States is not here to be bossed around or taken for granted. Zelensky is going to have to rethink his approach fast, because this time Trump is not budging. While President Trump's firm stance on Ukraine reverberates through international headlines, a starkly different but equally grappling story unfolded in Germany, where a senseless act of violence has left the world grappling with yet another tragedy. A couple of days ago, a driver in Germany woke up and chose to do the stupidest thing I could ever imagine. He chose to drive his car right into a crowd of people. Sadly, this stupid choice killed 2 people and injured 11 more. The person responsible for this had a long history of mental illness, not that that makes an excuse for it, nothing will, and he is currently being treated for these things. The treatments did not help at all, as you can tell, but so far it is not public what treatments he was actually on, so we cannot actually investigate these as of March 6th. As the world processes the devastating consequences of one individual's reckless actions in Germany, a different kind of accountability debate is unfolding across borders, with Mexican cartel companies pointing the fingers at United States gun manufacturers for the violence fueled by their weapons that they produce. Now, it does not make any sense, but we're going to break it down. Mexican cartels are trying to blame the United States gun producers for their gangs, their very gangs, getting guns, which takes us to what the Supreme Court heard on March 4th, even though the justices were showing skepticism, as reported by the NPR National News. The fact is, it still went to the Supreme Court and they still heard it, which is just amazing to me. The case had significant implications for international law and gun policy domestically as well. But it's crazy to think about a producer of a gun can be held responsible if their customer uses it improperly. Just like if somebody uses a Toyota to drive into a crowd of people like we just talked about. You wouldn't blame Toyota. No, you would blame the person driving it. It's the same case here. While the Supreme Court wrestles with questions of responsibility in the United States gun trade, closer to home, the United States government is facing its own accountability reckoning. As Trump's recent purge of federal workers sparked a consensus review of who's truly earning their keep. Last month on February 13th, Trump went through and started laying off a bunch of federal workers who were doing little to no real work. Some of these people worked at the USDA, which were just about 6,000 of them. But on March 5th, Merit Systems Protection Systems, also known as MSPB, forced the rehire of these workers for the next 45 days to see if they were actually doing their job or not. I guess if they are doing their job within the 45 days, then they will get the job long term. This only impacts the USDA though, but this opens the door to the possibility that other departments that we saw a lot of workers cut from could follow the same exact path. As the federal government debates productivity of its workforce in the rehiring of USDA employees, a far more alarming failure of the oversight has emerged in New York, where lax enforcement and immigration policies have collided with a horrifying act of violence in the city's subway. A person in New York lit a random person on fire and then, when arrested, was let back into New York City. He reportedly entered the United States illegally in 2018 during the first Trump administration, but was deported with within days. The New York Post reported that the man then re-entered the United States again recently and then made his way to New York City, where he was living in a migrant shelter, of course, taking from the United States taxpayer, but that's besides the point. It was a random day in the subway when all of a sudden he went up to a random lady and then set her on fire, which ended up killing her. But of course, the government of New York thinks that he's just misunderstood, okay? He was just let go again. But this time, the Trump administration put a detainer on him, but New York is ignoring it, which is just crazy. I did not want to end off on such a bad note, but it's crazy to think about some of the people that just think that they could just get away with everything because the government is on their side, the side of the criminals. It's not right at all. I did not want to end it off on such a horrible note, but we had to because that is just an alarming thing that is happening in New York. But that's going to be it for today's episode. If you did enjoy this episode and you do want to see more, I do post new episodes every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I do post shorts, Instagram Reels, TikToks. Follow me on all of the socials. They're going to be linked down below. And I will see you guys in the next episode.